Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to paint evening light. By choosing the beach for this demonstration, I get to show you how the colours are reflected in the sand and the water as well. The colours are very soft and there's a little bit of a haze coming up from the tide line and horizon. So the clouds look slightly transparent. I'm starting with cerulean blue and cobalt turquoise, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of warm yellow. So I'm going to use Naples yellow and a little bit of Indian yellow. To keep the sky in harmony, I'm still making the colours radiate out from a central sun that is quite low. Then adding Naples yellow underneath to give a gentle haze effect that will separate nicely from the blue sea in a moment. To give the haze effect, I'm putting the Naples yellow in while the blue's still wet, and I've diluted the paint an awful lot. You just make a puddle and then make a second puddle from that and you get very, very weak mixture. Moving up, I'm adding some warm yellows to the sky. There's a radiating pattern of yellow through the clouds. So I'm making a warm mix of Indian yellow, lemon yellow and Naples yellow together and just putting in streaks. By adding a bright colour to the top and middle of the picture, it focuses the light and it will help show up the people and the rocks on the beach that are almost in silhouette. I'm now adding the rocks to the beach. This is Perranporth Beach. Just in silhouette, just a brown shape, just to show that there are huge rocks there, which gives the people scale. These are the darkest things in the picture, so I've mixed indigo and burnt sienna together to make an intense but not dull brown. I want to give the impression of the rocks, but there's also more interest to them in the fact that they're reflected in standing water on the beach. When just suggesting rocks, the best thing to do is to go with shape and form, and if it's a sideways rock, just make sideways strokes. If it's a tall rock like the one on the left, is to try and do up and down strokes, and it gives a better visual impact. And this will add interest to the picture and also lead you into the area where the sun is blazing through the clouds. Moving on to the sand, that is also much darker because of the angle of the light and has also got reflections of the water and the yellow sky on it. I'm painting the sand with a mixture of raw sienna and burnt sienna just to give it a cooked biscuit colour, and that will help show up the people on the beach and the warmth of the yellow in the sky. I'm leaving a space for a big puddle and it's in line with the sun, so there's lots of reflections in it. For the puddle on the beach and the sea, I'm using different blues. It's the end of the day and the sea isn't necessarily the colour that you would expect. It's much darker. So I'm using a mixture of indigo and Prussian blue. And then any highlights I'm going to make when it's dry with Indian yellow. It's very important to keep the water on the beach flat, so you need a reasonably big brush. I'm using a number 7 brush and do the strokes side to side. I'm going round the people I've drawn in and I'm going to put them in an even darker colour. It's the same colour, but I'm just going to make it more concentrated. And then there's harmony. They won't be clashing with the picture. They'll be just fitting into it nicely. I'm now returning to the yellow, which was a mixture of Indian yellow and chrome orange, just to liven up the picture. It's very important to give the intensity of the end of the day in the evening light, and you need to use a bright colour, not go in with a weak one. Gain side to side movements with the number 7 brush, keeping the water flat. And then when I've finished, I will go back and put waves in a stronger colour. Returning to the blue, I'm now working my way further out towards the horizon, still with the same blue, still flat strokes. This is just the basis for the sea, and the shape and form will come with the next layer of paint. Moving up to the sky, I've mixed a homemade grey, which is a warm homemade grey, which I've used Naples yellow and Cobalt blue and a little bit of Viridian as well as the Cerulean crimson, just to give a warm but slightly transparent grey. I'm starting from the top right of the picture and working gently across, just making gentle squiggles that will show the sky is evenly balanced around the setting sun when I've got to the other side. It's very important to do this gently and have enough paint mixed up in the first place, because you want the sky to be balanced and you don't want to stop and then some of it gets hard edges before you finished it. So make up a lot of paint and go in an even manner and you'll get a much better result. Evening skies can change very quickly, so you need to be prepared, which is why the paint is made up earlier, and have a plan and try and keep it fairly simple. The more complicated you try and make it, the more you could be caught out by the sky changing quickly. I'm now adding slightly smaller blobs of cloud, and some of them are just little sideways marks, just to show the transition between the day sky and the evening light. I'm continuing the streaks on the left hand side of the picture just to keep the pattern going and show the transition between the day sky and the evening sky. Then returning to the top just to make a few more marks to give the whole thing more harmony. It's just subtle changes. And again with the blue underneath, just breaking up the space between the day sky and the evening light. There's just a few little clouds floating around and breaking up the space. And then I can return to the yellow in a moment. And again with the blue streak, just making it a bit more dominant, just to give more of a focal point. Then returning to the yellow, just making it a little bit brighter in the middle, just to lead you into the sky. Then coming down to the horizon, waves that would have been white are transformed to a dark but warm blue. So I'm mixing Prussian blue indigo with a little bit of French ultramarine and just putting in with a smaller, drier brush in a more controlled manner fine lines. So just working across gently because the sun is hitting the water, so there are areas of yellow. Just going across, gently claiming the space. There are also some rocks in the far distance, so I'm putting those in the cloud colour, the very gentle grey, just to show that they're there, and also it softens the transition between the hard horizon and the soft sky. Coming towards the beach, there's a few gaps in the dark water where the waves are, so I'm just leaving the under colour that I put in a few minutes ago showing, and that does the job of representing the sea hitting the rocks. I'm going round the people as much as I can, and then I'll put those in shortly. When you're drawing people on the beach, they will keep moving, so you've got to just hope for the best, and I often use the bottom of one person and then the top of the next person that comes along. It's very much mix and match, but if they've got a coat on and trousers as these people have in the evening, it's easier to join them all together. I've added a few shadows and streaks in the standing water as well. And you can see that even though I haven't put the people in yet, there's just the pencil lines there, that they are looking like people. So as they're just silhouettes, it doesn't necessarily matter where you start. I traditionally start from the shoulders and work down, but the shape of the legs is very important to this picture because there's matching shadows. So in certain cases, I've started with the legs and then put the body in. Drawing somebody moving is quite different to somebody sitting still on a park bench. So if they are moving and it's important to get the shape, then I often start with the legs and then stop at the waist and then look again. And then going back up to the top, just get the shape of the body, which is usually a rectangle, and then stick an arm or two in, depending how many you can see, and then put the head in afterwards. If you put the head in first, then the neck can grow and you can lose the proportions. The third figure doesn't look so interesting looking out to sea, but he's got a very good reflection, so you have to work out the bits that appeal to you and focus on them. For the reflections, you start at the feet and just do a side-by-side motion of the brush and just follow the shape the best you can. Returning to the sky, I'm increasing the intensity of the yellow, which balances the picture with the very dark figures. Same colour, just another coat of paint. And then taking it out from the centre through the gaps in the clouds, just so that you feel that you've got a peek of what's the other side. And then adding a little bit of the same yellow just in between the waves where the sun is catching it. Now I've put the sea in, I can go back to the rocks and just give a firmer line of their shadows. And always go round and check when you've finished and just make sure that there's nothing that wouldn't benefit from another little tickle of the paintbrush. But I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and that you'll try painting an evening light yourself in the next few weeks. Thank you very much for watching.